Let us prepare in body.
This is supposed to be for your hair? Okay.
Mind. And in spirit. For our service this morning. There is more than enough creativity, joy, abundance, and life to go around. Trust in the infinite supply and abundance of the universe. You cannot run out of ideas or creative solutions because you live in an infinite reality. Remember that there is always something more. Know you stand in the midst of the stream of life, even if you can't see it or feel it. Your powerful, positive, mental attitude of trust will make the difference. And let's take these words into our hearts and minds and contemplate them for a time. We come together this morning as a part of this infinite creative intelligence that is life expressing as each of us. And we creatively make this experience of life all that we desire and all that we can imagine for ourselves and for others. It is this one energy that brings us together. And it's this one energy that creates this community. Creating it as it evolves. As an ever more loving, more peaceful, more abundant expression of life. And how grateful we are for this. How grateful we are for the abundance right now in all the ways that it appears in our lives. We're grateful for the abundant good weather this weekend, for the good fellowship, for the remembrance, for the dreams, for all that it takes and all that it is to be these marvelous creative beings that we are. We are grateful. And so we simply say thank you and know that it is so. Amen.
So it's a new month. It's July already. I'm still having trouble writing 2014. I don't know about you all, but I'm still having trouble with that. I talked to somebody the other day who said he was having trouble with it being a new millennium, like still back in 1990s somewhere. So I've made a little progress. Anyway. Our theme for the whole year is joyous living, and our theme for July is living creatively. And it should be obvious that we can't do anything but, right? We're creating all the time, whether we know it or not. We're creating our experience of life, and we're creating that stew of thought and belief and perception and prejudice and perspective inside our own mind, and that is what shows up in our outer experience, because what we think about, we bring about. We're always living creatively. So what I want to do this month is talk about becoming conscious of that fact and not letting it happen unconsciously. If we want to keep having the same experience we've always had, we can stay on autopilot. But if we want anything to be different, we got to get conscious about it. We have to know what we're talking about. We have to become aware of what's going through our heads and what we want to put in there to go through our heads. And there are a lot of ideas that we have about creativity that I want to talk about. And the first one is this idea of freeing our creative energy, which I think includes owning it. We have to own it, first of all, because a lot of us think that creativity means what Becky does, or what the band does, or what a composer does, or what a dancer or a painter does. But creativity is the very stuff of life. We all have it in abundance, and we're all doing it all the time. Sometimes we do it. Did you ever get those paint by number pictures when you were a kid? Sometimes we do it like paint by the numbers, and sometimes when we get conscious, it's more like we have a blank canvas and limitless possibility in front of us. I remember I got one of those one year. My uncle usually gave cash, but occasionally he gave real presents. And not that cash is not a real present, don't get me wrong. But he gave me this picture of a horse. And, you know, it was all numbered out, and it was brown paint, and a different color of brown paint, and a different color of brown paint, and a fourth or fifth color of brown paint, and a little bit of white paint. And I tried really hard to make it look just like the picture on the lid of the box, right? That's what you were supposed to do. And I think we learn how to do that very well in our society. We learn how to make our choices very limited, and we keep creating the same thing over and over and over again. But imagine sitting down to a blank canvas or a blank, I love notebooks. Do you love notebooks? I love notebooks. Blank, new, pristine notebook to write in. I love that sensation. I get kind of ticked off when I, like start scratching out words and stuff. That's what you're supposed to do, but I like the pristine nature of a new notebook. Imagine choreographing your own dance to your own music. That's what I want to talk about. Living from creativity without restriction. Without restriction. And to get to that, we have to become aware of the restrictions, first off. What ways do we restrict ourselves in our creativity? I think we don't even know it most of the time. We don't even know we're doing it. Once we begin or become willing to do without the restrictions, we're in the place where we have to, as the reading said, trust that infinite creativity that's flowing through us, and trust ourselves as the conduit for that creativity. That's how we can step up to a blank canvas and not worry that there aren't lines and numbers on it to tell us what to do. I think there are a number of ways that we stifle the flow of creativity, and the first one is to say, I'm not creative. Who's creating your life? Who's creating your experience? Who dressed you this morning? Who made your breakfast? Who decided what you were going to eat this morning? All of that stuff is a creative act. We can't not create. We're always creating. Nobody else tells you what to pick off the shelf to read, what song to sing in the shower. Come on, I know you do. Or in your car. What clothes to put on, any of that, what to do for fun. All of those are your creative acts. And if we took a few minutes to think about all that we create in a day, maybe at the end of the day we look back and say, what did I create today, and did I like it? That's important. Did I like it? We'd be amazed. We'd be amazed if we stopped and just looked at it. All the different choices you make that either add up to a great day, or a meh day, or a shish day. We might also begin to see the restrictions that we put on ourselves. We might also get a few hints about the creative endeavor that's trying to make its way through us. There's always something bigger. The soul is always saying, you know, you got to do something bigger here. Something bigger, something bigger. It's always happening to us. And if we were to take 5 minutes and maybe even write in that pristine journal for a few minutes, we would begin to see how creative we really are. And we might be able to hear a few hints of where it is we're being led. I don't know what you get lost in, but when you get lost in something, that's a really good place to pay attention to. Some people get lost in writing or singing or dancing or cooking or painting or making pottery or moving their furniture around and redecorating their homes. There are all sorts of ways to do this. But if there is a place you get lost, pay attention. Pay attention to it, because that's a place your soul feels very comfortable. Very comfortable if you go deep into it and get lost. You know, I knew a guy once who got totally lost in creating computer games. And I never understood it at all, because I don't have that kind of head. But when I got to play the game, it was amazing what creativity had been put into it and had come through it, as the figures on the screen and the things you could do with the cursor and all of that. There are a million ways to give your creative gift to the world. And if you just have no idea, you haven't been lost in anything in a while, start doing stuff. Just start doing it. It really doesn't matter what you do. You could take a class. You could take a dance class or a painting class or a horseback riding class, or you could rearrange your furniture. You could go for a walk. You could clean out your closet. It doesn't really matter. If you take some action, you start to flow. You know, if the intention is there and you take some action, you start the flow. Anything you do to get the creative energy flowing helps you find out what makes your soul happy. Because that is what we're really here for, right? Is to be the expression of that deeper part of us that lives at our very core. Another really, really big restriction we put on ourselves is perfectionism. Got that? Ooh, I have it bad. Have it bad. I knew a woman once who went out and learned how to ride her bicycle in the dark, because she had to look perfect the first time out with her friends, right? I mean, it's amazing. We always hold ourselves to these high ideals and think, I have to be able to do it perfectly. Well, we don't do anything perfectly the first time or the second time. If it's worth our attention, there's a learning curve, right? Always. But a lot of times we say, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that right or perfectly, so I'm not going to do it at all. We stop ourselves from taking the forward action because we're afraid we can't do it perfectly. Joseph Chilton Pierce said that to live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. Amen. We think it is such a terrible thing to be wrong, to get on the bicycle and fall off, to paint a picture of a cat that is not recognizable. All those kinds of things. Whatever it is that we do the first time, it's not going to be perfect. The next time it'll be better, and the next time after that it'll be even better, and ultimately it will rise to a level that makes us so very satisfied, whether it's decorating or dancing or singing or cooking or whatever it is. One of the ideas that I came across this week that I found that was really good was choose to look at creativity as a process rather than an outcome, a means to an end. If we focus on the creative process, we see ourselves getting better. There was a story in the Mary Manning Morrissey Prosperity Plus series about, I don't think it was an accounting major or a business professor or something, where he took his class and divided it in two and said, this quarter, it was a senior class, and he said, this quarter we're going to focus on pottery. This half of the class I want you to make as many pots as you possibly can. This one I want you to make one pot, and that's your whole grade. And it turns out that the quality pots came from the people who were making a bunch of pots, more and more and more, because they were learning with each pot they threw how to do it better. If you study and don't do, it's kind of like, trying to be a great golfer without ever picking up a club, or trying to be a great cook without ever turning on the burner. We have to do it. We have to practice, and we have to see ourselves getting better. And if the intention is to focus on the process of creating and being creative, then we can see ourselves making vast progress, especially if it's one of those things you get lost in. We get good at those fast. We make good time on them. If we just let the creative urge take us where it wants to, rather than trying to box it in, trying to define it by what we've already experienced, I think we'll be amazed. I know whenever I can get to that place, I'm always amazed. It's easy to say, I've already created this. All you have to do is look around, look at your life. Is it joyful, or is it not so joyful? Is it too busy, or are you bored? Do you lack love, or do you have love? All of that is what you have created up to this point by creating I'm too busy, or I'm bored, or I don't deserve love, or whatever it is. And it comes from the box of our own thinking, the restrictions that we've placed. We can only think this far and no farther. How do we get out of that? How do we color outside the lines? I mean, after all, when we started school, they taught us how to color inside the lines and spell these 10 words correctly. And of course, now they teach kids to be able to take the tests and pass them. Very little room to just be wildly creative in the classroom. And then we get jobs and more of the same. You act a certain way if you want to keep your job, right? You don't go outside these boundaries. My colleague, Margaret Stortz, once said, sometimes the only transportation is a leap of faith. And that's what this requires, I think. When we're tired of coloring inside the lines, we're tired of living in the box, we have to make a little leap of faith over the edge of the box into a new frame of reference. A new frame of reference. And there's a myth, a perennial myth, about that particular leap of faith. It's been around as long as people have. Joseph Campbell called it the hero's journey. And it's everywhere. It's in everything from Gilgamesh to Star Wars and beyond. It is all about doing something different and becoming transformed in the process. And that's what we're talking about is this process that we go through over and over and over as spiritual beings having human experiences. This process of taking a little leap of faith into a place we haven't been before, and then letting our innate creativity show us what to do next. I think that's where we have to start. We have to start because we love to see the outcome. We love to see the end. But the problem is, if you can already see it from here, there's nothing new there, right? When the outcome is something new, we have to just continue to take a step and listen, and take a step and listen, and take a step and ask, okay, what should I be doing now? And pay attention to our feelings and that inner guidance system, however it feels and looks to you, whatever it is that stirs in you. So rather than trying to think your way outside the box, or medicate your way outside the box, or shop or drink or whatever your way outside the box, sometimes we just have to take a little step and then listen and feel and ask what the next step is, and then we take another little step. And by about the third step, what usually happens is the next step becomes apparent as we're taking it. And then with the path just unrolls in front of us. It's just that first couple of steps that is difficult. That part is difficult. The really important thing is just to take the step. Just start somewhere. If you want to create more happiness in your life, ask, what one step could I take this minute that would move me in that direction? If you wanted to create more money in your life, ask, what is one step I could take in that direction? Whatever it is that seems to be a place you're restricting your own expansion. You know, maybe it's just asking yourself, what do I spend my time doing that doesn't feed what I want? And then you found a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of energy in which you can just try stuff and see if it works for you. Try something new and see if it makes you feel happier. Does this feed my happy or does it feed my unhappy? And once you start, inspiration just shows up everywhere. It really truly does. Once you take that step, everything that catches your attention will start to give you clues about what to do. It could be a billboard you've walked past 10 times and all of a sudden you see it in a different way. Or you hear a song on the radio that you know all the words to, but then you hear it in a different way. It means something different to you. It's all inspiration. The creative urge is part of who we are. We can't get rid of it. It's who we are. And it's always trying to get our attention. It's always trying to say, maybe you should stop spending so much time, window shopping and start spending time writing in your journal. I get that one a lot. And I try to pay attention to it. It's coming along. Because, writing is one of the things I can get lost in. Whatever it is that catches you and catches your attention, and then we have to sort of say, okay, I'm going to trust this. I'm going to trust what's coming through me. I'm going to trust it and act on it and allow it to come into form in my life. Sometimes it's really obvious which way to go and which way not to go, and sometimes it's not obvious at all. But what I really do know is that divine life within us keeps trying until it gets our attention. It keeps trying to get us to take the step and trust the universe, and take the step and trust the universe, and take the step and trust the universe. Because bringing the impulse of the soul into manifestation is what counts. That's what counts in life. It's not how perfectly or how prettily we do it. It's that we do it. It's that we do it. The whole process of freeing our creativity is just that, a process. It requires us to be patient with ourselves. It requires us to be willing to look foolish sometimes, to be wrong sometimes, to be patient with the process, not demand instant gratification. And that's another thing that's getting harder all the time. Because if you're bored in this instant, that's what smartphones are for, right? I'm going to check Facebook here while I've got 30 milliseconds between tasks. I'm going to stop and check Facebook. You don't have to actually find anyone to talk to. You can just get on your smartphone. If you're lost, you don't have to actually ask anyone how to get someplace. You just Google Maps and you're there. We can't quite see how tied we are to being a click away from all that information and all that bombardment of distraction. We're a society of distracted people. We don't have a lot of patience for this process called life. And we have even less patience for this process called change. We have even less patience for that. But changing from where we are to somewhere else lets the questions rise up and lets us look at them and say, okay, do I want to paint by the numbers or do I want to do something wildly different? Do I want to splash purple and orange paint all over that empty canvas? Or do I want the brown and the next shade of brown and the next shade of brown? We'll get all those questions and all those choice points and all of those inspirations, and they will lead us in some new direction. And we can't see the destination, and sometimes that makes us not be very patient. I want to know how this whole thing ends. I want to know how this all turns out. I don't, not anymore, because I've been there and done that. I want something new to happen to me in my life and my spiritual development. About 80 years ago, a poet named Rainier Maria Rilke wrote a little volume called Letters to a Young Poet. I'm sure that you've heard it or heard parts of it. And in that book, he wrote a letter to this young man who was questioning all of his writing and whether he was any good and whether he was really creative and all that stuff. And Rilke said, "Be patient with all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Do not seek the answers now. They cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions." I think that's the best advice on freeing our creativity that I've heard. Maybe it's the best advice on living, period. In living and in loving the questions and in honoring the questions and in allowing ourselves to be answerless for a moment, we live our way into the answer. We live our way into the outcome. We live our way into the product of our creativity. We live into what it is we want to be, into that place where we can allow our unique gift to come into the world in the way that only we can make it come into this world. We get to the point where we take that step easily and say, here I am, radiating what I have to radiate into this beautiful light that we all create together. So let's come together in consciousness right now and allow our awareness to simply fall deeply into that interior space, into that infinity within ourselves that is the source of all creativity, because it is the source of life itself. It is that divine spark, divine ember that is at the center of each one of us. And as we listen and pay attention to it, we can feel it. We can sense its light and heat. We can enjoy the deepest peace imaginable. We can listen and feel for all that this inner core of ourselves is saying to us. It is telling us, whispering our unique gifts into our ears, inviting us to take that step, inviting us to leap when necessary, with absolute trust and absolute joy, trusting that this spark is a spark of the same infinite creative force that gave rise to all creation, by whatever name you call it, and that it lives in and as each one of us, and that it is the source of creativity in us and in all things. And so it is infinite creativity combined with infinite joy and infinite wisdom, and that is what lives at our core. That is what lets us be our own creative selves in this universe. Because we know this about ourselves, we are more willing and more capable of coloring completely outside the lines, of writing completely newly, of combining ideas in completely refreshing and new ways. No matter what we undertake, no matter what it is that moves us into that place of free, flowing, infinite creativity. Because I know this about each one of us, I give thanks. I give thanks for all of life and its infinite variety, its sometimes perplexing nature, its mystery and its joy. This experience of being human, I give thanks for it. And I give thanks for each person here today, each of whom is radiating his or her particular colors and tunes and melodies and dances out into the cosmos for all of us to notice, to partake of, to take part in, to enjoy, and to grow from and learn from. And so from this place of gratitude, I release these words, knowing that the infinite law of mind always says yes. It always says yes. No matter what it is we request, we are supported, always, in all things. So I let it be, knowing it's already so. And we say together to anchor and acknowledge this, and so it is. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. And good thing to remember. We have an opportunity now to give, to support the work of this community, and to take a moment just to be grateful. Just to be grateful for who we are and all the blessings in our lives, for all that we have and all that we give from. Gratitude is the place of making welcome in our lives. We make welcome to joy and to love and to abundance and to all manner of things simply by being grateful. We welcome more good into our lives. So if you aren't able to give today, or you give by automatic withdrawal or some other way in cyberspace, just take a moment, if you will, as the basket goes by, to bless it and to bless the abundance of this community so that we can continue to do what we're doing and more, and to grow and to reach out into the greater community in bigger ways. Let's affirm right now together, gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
I know that as I give, so do I receive.
I know that as I give, so do I receive.
And so it is.
And so it is.
before the children return to the room, I'm going to ask Mike to come up. He has just a little quick report for you. Mike is our Stewardship Corps Coordinator, member of the Corps Council. There you are, sir.
Thank you.
Mike Brown.
What an incredible place. The band. Reverend Cece. And you all. So,
oh, we're up usurping you. Just let us jump in here, because I'll lose them if we don't.
Kenny, take it away.
All right, one.
You are. All right. Oh, yes. We're loving it.
You are beautiful, courageous, and wise beyond your ages. This I know for you, as I know myself. You are splendid, you're unique, with the whole world at your feet. This I know for you, as I know myself. You are brother to the flowers, and sister to the trees. This I know for you, as I know myself. All I live within you, you are one with God is true. This I know for you, as I know myself. This I know for you, as I know myself. This I know for you, as I know myself.
So what we did today was we learned about creating. And we found out before you can create something, you have to, Autumn, what do you have to do before you create?
Putting your mind on the moon.
You have to imagine it. So we learned about imagining and then creating. And they have gold stars because they created something.
thank you.
Sorry, Mike. Thank you.
It's fine, Mark.
I like that dinosaur that you have. A dinosaur. Okay, Mark.
I got a new cameraman over there. Thank you. All right, let's try this again. So yeah, the band, Reverend Cece, this community, it's just an incredible place to be. So some of you might remember last fall, Gunnar Klein and I came up and gave you a little status report on the financial health of the center. And since we're at mid-year, we thought we'd give you an update. So last fall, when we gave you that initial report, we were having some tough times financially. It was short-term and temporary, and we've taken a number of steps to turn things around. And we did that on the opinions and suggestions of this community. And we really appreciate your willingness to give us that quality feedback and give a little bit more in the basket each week. That helped tremendously. So to go ahead and continue to recap some of our efforts since then, of course, we moved to a single service, and that helped to reduce some of our expenses. We recently refinanced our mortgage on the building, greatly reducing our interest rate and, of course, monthly payment. And that's helped quite a bit. And just a tidbit of info there, we're going to be mortgage free in less than 3 years. Our community awareness team, led by Keith over there, has been doing a great job getting the word out about the center, and we're seeing growth, and this room is full and evidence of that effort. So thank you, Keith. The support of the community financially has just been increasing year to year, And that's just phenomenal. We thank you so much for that. We worked really hard on Stewardship Council to control our expenses without impacting the services and outreach that we do as a community. So one thing I want to do, talk to you about is being a numbers guy, what it takes to operate the center. And so a while back we did an analysis of what donations we get in. And so we're averaging about $45 per person per attendee here. And thank you for that. We also went on, and I think some of you might remember that we our one debt beyond our mortgage is we owe quite a bit to Reverend Cece's retirement account. We stopped paying into that to cover some of the tough times. So what we did is an analysis to figure out what we would need in donations to pay off that debt and continue paying all our bills. And it's about $51. So we're getting about 45, we need about 51. So it's a really tiny gap, and we think we can close that up through a number of different ways. So I just wanted to give you a little info. We're really, really close. And oh, by the way, we have started making the regular monthly contributions into her retirement account, so that past due debt is no longer climbing. We're really happy about that. So she is. And also, we've actually been chipping away at the past due balance, so again, we're really excited about that. So, of course, we're not out of the woods, but we're making real progress here. And so turn around and give yourselves a round of applause for helping us turn things around. And we're doing this, and we continue to add programming and activities. And you just saw one of them here just a second ago, the kids. It's just fabulous for me to see them meditating every week, and all the wonderful things that now Mark and the group is doing, Herman and Henrietta and the others. So that's just so exciting to see. Some of you might remember the Positively Rocking concert back in March. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, band. Part of the proceeds from that will be used and are being used to support the youth program. And so anyway, if you have a love for kids, talk to Mark Coltrane and get involved with our Sundays Cool Kids. Cool Kids. And of course, there are other ways you can get involved as well. So if you're handy with tools, Scott Boggs, I don't know if Scott's here today, but Scott Boggs and our maintenance maniacs could use your help. If you like numbers, I could use a couple of folks on the Stewardship Council, CORE. And then, of course, there are many other opportunities for you to get involved. So to wrap this up, as we did last fall, we asked for your opinions on how we can do better and change things up and continue to grow. So the ushers are going to be passing out a really brief survey that we would like for you to fill out, just a couple of questions on helping guide your spiritual center. So if you could fill that out and get that back to us before you leave, I'd really appreciate that. And then, of course, anytime, contact me or Reverend CC if you have questions or comments or anything like that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
He's the best. He's just a wonderful, wonderful, hardworking board member, and we have an amazing leadership team. We really, truly do. So this survey is brief, and we really do value your input. If you need a pen, we've got some of those too. So please fill it out, and if you have comments that we didn't account for, just write them on the back. That would be great. Couple of quick announcements. Today is the last day for bidding for Cooking with God events. So check your bids over there for a couple of reasons. Some of them have gone into their second bidding cycle, and so you want to make sure that your bid is still a winning bid, and if not, you have to bid higher. Also, there have been 2 date changes. The wine tasting on has been moved to October 4th, and the solstice celebration has been moved to September 26th. So be sure you check those bidding sheets. Peggy wanted to say something about her event real quick since she missed last week.
Yeah. The ones that are bidding online that bidded I can stop now. Everybody can hear me. I got a big mouth. Okay, oh, it's for the recording. Okay. Those that have bidded last year for the 2 events that I was hosting can go ahead and sign up for it. Just don't put a bid in for it. Just put down that you bidded last year. It's going to go ahead and go through. I'll take up to 10 people this time, plus the ones that bidded last year.
Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate that. Check your, and then during this next week, we'll be sending out notification to the winners and to the hosts so that they know who's going to show up at their house when. So watch your email or phone messages if you've made bids. If you are a new guest or you have questions about the place, you can go walk right over to the Welcome Center there, and there'll be someone there that you can, we're in the process of hanging our sign, sorry. But there will be someone over there you can ask questions of. There's also a literature rack with a whole bunch of things about our philosophy there. Next is coming Saturday, July 12th. The Green Team invites you to a tour of the Future Energy and Conservation Center at Dole Farm. Ralph Dole was one of the people who got the Peace Museum started downtown. Wonderful guy. And anyway, it's his farm in Brookville, 10:30 to 12 noon, and then there's a lunch afterwards for those who want to stay. There's a page in your bulletin that says mark your calendar, and all the information is on that page, along with the hike in Yellow Springs that's coming up July 19th. And then there's also a flyer in your bulletin that I just want to draw your attention to for 1 second. July 26th is a free day-long workshop called Enlightened Leadership Training. And this will help you in any leadership position you're in, whether it's here at the center or at your job or wherever it is. So there's more information on that flyer, and know that you are very welcome to join us. Just let us know so I have enough materials. Okay, last but not least, if there's anything in your life that you would like prayer support for, you can just walk up to one of the ladies wearing the teal or white shawls and say, I'd like prayer. That's all you have to do. They're professional prayer practitioners, and they will give you the gift of prayer in what we call a 1-minute miracle after the service. We also have a prayer chest back there where you can make a written request and drop it in the box. You can also put it on the back of your tear-off strip in your bulletin. There's also a prayer line that you can call. The numbers on the back of the bulletin. And you can go to our website and submit an online prayer request at cslgd.org. So we have lots of ways to make prayer available to you because we know it works. We know it works. So let's stand up for our closing affirmation. And after that, our closing song, which is I Trust in God. But first, there is a song in the universe and I sing it.
There is a song in the universe and I sing it.
There is a hymn of praise and I praise it.
There is a hymn of praise and I praise it.
There is a life of joy and I live it.
There is a life of joy and I live it.
And so it is.
So it is.
Have a fabulous week, everybody.